Today's topic for discussion is related to security measures to be taken to protect our system from viruses and another kind of malicious softwares. We also talk about worm and Trojan horses. So these are we have highlighted. So first three topics will be taken up. The last one will be taken up at a later stage. The one point to be noted that a single type of security is not sufficient to protect sensitive data of the organizations. Similarly, a single product is not sufficient to protect computers and network systems of any organization. Then what is the solution? Solution is that you require many different types of products to fully protect confidential and sensitive data of any organization. In this context, we will talk about what are the measures to be taken. We list few measures and discuss few of them in detail. So one is antivirus software, and we will have more discussions on the antivirus software, access control, smart cards, biometrics, policy management. So we require different kinds of tools and techniques to protect our systems, not only one kind of, just like antivirus software or a access control mechanism, but we require another kind of mechanism also. So depending upon the willingness of the organizations, one can adopt one or two, or one can adopt all kinds of measures to protect the system. Antivirus software, sometimes called as anti-malware software, which detects, prevents and take actions to remove malicious software from your computer. It could be viruses, it could be worms, it could be Trojan horses, it could be any other kind of software which harm your systems. It can further remove unwanted spyware and adware. We have some discussions on the spyware and adware. At least I remember that adware related some discussion has been taken place, but little bit we add on today also on these two topics. To restrict access to files, now we move to the second security measures. Access control. What is the access control? The purpose of access control is to restrict access to files or sensitive data of any organization to only by the legitimate users only. The purpose of access control is to reduce the security risk of unauthorized access to physical and logical system. For example, firewall is a network access control device designed to block all traffic except those which are permitted inside the system. Then we have a smart cards. Smart cards can be used for an authentication of a legitimate users. It is primarily a plastic embedded with an integrated circuits. Either a memory chip or a microprocessor is fabricated on the smart card to store the data and to connect with the system. It could be you can use contact a smart card, or it could be contactless smart cards. So this is the second measure you can apply it in your organizations to protect the system. It's basically a good mechanism to authenticate a legitimate user. Then we have a biometric system. Traditional passwords have long been a point of weakness for security systems. I'm trying to explain why we require a biometric system. Traditionally, we have been using the password and which have a weak link for the security in the security mechanism. Biometrics are biological measurements or physical characteristics that can be used to identify or authenticate individuals. Examples: the fingerprint mapping, the facial recognitions, palm prints, retina scans are all forms of biometric technology which can be used for authentications of legitimate users in the system. Let's move to antivirus software. The two terms I have used, what we call them as spyware. A spyware is a primarily data collections program that secretly gathers information about any individual and relays to other interested party that may be adversaries to these organizations. A spyware works similarly to adware, but is installed in your computer without any individual's knowledge. It might contain keyloggers that record email addresses, password, even credit card numbers of individuals. So a spyware is a bit different from viruses which harm your system. Adware is a short for advertising supported software. It is a type of a spyware primarily used for advertisers. It maintains records of web surfing habits of individuals, to collect information on the type of sites one searches for marketing purpose. Adware is a type of malware that automatically delivers advertisements. Common example of adware include pop-up ads on websites and advertisements that are displayed frequently. Antivirus program can spot a virus in one or two ways. Antivirus program, besides removing the virus or spotting the virus in the system, they can also control the adware or spyware kind of malicious activities taking place in your systems. Now coming back to what it does related to the virus, let's examine them. So there are two ways one can spot a virus through antivirus programs. First, the antivirus programs may recognize a particular virus signature, which is nothing more than the specific instructions embedded in the virus that tell it how to behave or act. So they recognize a particular type of virus. Every virus has got a signature, and the primary way to check the virus in the system is to catch or recognize the signature of a virus. Let me further discuss about the virus signature. Virus signature is like a criminal's fingerprint, and each one is unique and distinct. Second way, antivirus program can detect virus through its behavior. So two ways it protects. First, it tries to analyze its characteristics, or what we call them signature, and second way is called signature. Now how we can prevent now? First, install antivirus malware software. Keep your antivirus software up to date. Run regularly scheduled scans with your antivirus software. Keep your operating system current. Secure your network, and think before while clicking a link. Only download apps or software from the trusted sites. Check how many downloads apps and software have. The more the better. Check what permissions apps and software ask for. Are these reasonable? Never click on unverified links in spam emails, messages, or unfamiliar websites. These are the measures one has to take to prevent the spread of the virus in the system. Do not open attachment in spam emails. Use a secure VPN connections for public Wi-Fi. And then let me give you the new term has come in our discussion, which we have not discussed earlier. What is a virtual private network? A virtual private network extends a private network across a public networks and enables users to send and receive data across shared or public networks as if their computing devices were directly connected to the private network. So take example of internet is a public network, and now you want to provide the secure transmissions of your data, then you can use a virtual private network kind of concept. Viruses can be cured with antiviral program which perform one or more of the following functions: preventions, detections, vaccinations, inoculations, identification, and damage control. So these are the various characteristics, these are the various features of the virus antiviral program, and they apply it while detecting or removing viruses from your system. We'll try to little bit elaborate on some of the issues now. A good antiviral utility is one which checks whether the system has been infected or not. These programs stop the virus from infecting the system. They do not allow the modifications of executable files so that file virus cannot get a foothold. Some of them refuse to let any program make itself resident in RAM unless allowed by the user. Because some viruses are RAM resident. So this is what they are trying to control, those kind of viruses which are RAM resident. They refuse to let any program make itself resident in the RAM. Some antivirus do not allow the user to run a program unless it is on a list of approved and tested applications. The detectors warn the user of the presence of a virus after it is loaded into the machines or disk. The identifiers rely on the fact that when the virus replicates, it makes a copy of itself. So while purchasing new kinds of antivirus software, you try to find out what are its characteristics, what it can do, or what is unable to do it. The vaccinators inject some code into executable file. These are some of the characteristics we are listing now. When the vaccinated file is run, the injected code performs an integrity check on the program being executed, and once if any changes have been made, the inoculations insert the virus's signature into infected areas or files at appropriate locations. When the virus perform their self-detections, they find their signature and believe that the memory disk or file is already infected and do so, and then they don't proceed further. As a virus can hide itself in many different ways, it is difficult to detect all viruses with just one antiviral program. Moreover, the virus writers keep altering the virus code so that it cannot be detected by any existing antiviral program. The point to remember is that there is no 100% foolproof antivirus program available, and in principle there never will be. So one product, one antivirus software will not able to control the complete malicious activities taking place in the system. Worm now move to the another kind of malicious software. Worm is a computer code that spreads without user interaction. Most worm begin as email attachment that infect a computer when they have opened. The worm scans the infected computers for files such as address books or temporary web pages that contain email addresses. The worm uses the addresses to send infected email messages and frequently mimics or spoof the form address in later email messages so that these infected messages seem to be from someone individual is aware of. Worm then spread automatically through email messages, networks or operating system vulnerability, frequently overwhelming those systems before the cause is known. Worms are not always destructive to computers, but they usually cause computers and network performance. So they try to slow down the network performance. A worm shares many characteristics with a virus. And the most important characteristic is that worm is self-replicating too. Worm seeks to infect and replicate without targeting and infecting specific files already present on a computer. The two most common ways a worm can spread are through email and security flaws in computers connected to a network or the internet. Worms which use email to spread are known as mass mailing. Worms are typically written in a variant of Visual Basic Programming language. Most of the worms are written in through this one. They usually exploit the Microsoft Outlook or Outlook Express emailing programs on Windows. Typically, the worm takes a user's Outlook or the Outlook Express address book for a list and stored email addresses, and then the worm sends a copy of itself to each such addresses. Internet worms, in contrast, spread by searching the internet for a computer running a specific type of operating system or web server with a known flaw into it. Once the worm finds a vulnerable computer, the worm copies itself to that computer through the known flaw and then proceeds to use that computer to look for another target to attack. So these are some few characteristics of worm. Now move to the Trojan Horse. Trojan Horse is a malicious software just like a virus or worm that hides inside another program. It enters a computer system hidden inside a legitimate program such as a screensaver, for example. Then it puts codes into the operating system that enables a hacker to access the infected computer. Trojan horse do not actually spread by themselves. They are spread by viruses, they are spread by worms, or you can download some software where it can be hidden. Trojans are commonly found on the website which offer free software such as shareware programs. Even some people post Trojans on their own websites and pretend to offer hacker tools or other pornographic files for others to download. Naturally, some of these files are Trojans. So, as soon as an very user downloads and runs them, the program causes the damage or intended by the damage code as intended by the creator of the program. How can we stop the Trojan horse now? To protect yourself against Trojan horses, use a combination of different protective tools and a little common sense. First of all, make sure you know who has access to your computers, lock it up. Password, protect it or disconnect it from a network if you are not using them. When downloading software, download only from the software publisher's official website. If a program is downloaded from another website, someone could have inserted a Trojan horse into that program. Many hacker websites even post pirated software and hacker tools for others to download, and some of these files could also be infected with the Trojan horse. We are discussing the main points which we have discussed here is the 4 points we discuss here. What are the security measures to be taken? Security measures, and as a part of the security measures, we identified a number of tools and techniques to be used for the security purpose, and made a point that one product or one type of security measure, just like an antivirus software, is not sufficient enough to protect the system. You require a range of the products to protect your system, and in this context we listed number of approaches to solve this problem. Besides the antivirus software, we talked about the biometrics. We can have a biometric system, we can have a access controls, we can program the firewall to protect our systems. We can also take some policy measures to protect our systems. So we discussed about number of, but the main focus remained to be the antivirus software, and we listed number of guidelines. To protect our system from the virus, identify number of different kinds of characteristics of the viruses. We also talked about worm, differentiated what is the difference between worm and the virus. Then we talked about the Trojan horses. We also tried to differentiate between Trojan horse with the rest of the thing. And in this context, we also defined some new terms. We also discussed what called the spyware. We also added something called adware. There are also malicious software, but they don't do such much harm as we have seen in case of virus or the Trojan horse, or in case of worm. So these are the major issues we have discussed as a part of our discussions. So I hope that major points have been covered related to virus, worm, Trojan horses, various security measures to be taken. Now I request you to understand these issues and apply in day-to-day or activities how to protect your system. But one thing always remember, whatever activity you do on the internet, you must confine to the well-known sites. Suppose that you have to download a product from a Microsoft or any other, then you go to the Microsoft site or go to the another website. That you always you have to take care of this one. Keep on scanning your systems very frequently, and like this we discuss about prevention, specific preventions to be taken from viruses, Trojan horses, worms, and so on. Thank you very much.